Hey everyone, Frank here, Godzilla Island, with a little book review for Godzilla King of the Monsters by Scott Ciencin. This book came out in 1996. It was part of a four-part Juniors series at the time. There was a Juniors and Young Adults Godzilla series going on from Random House. And these books are, I've only read this one and 2000 from the Young Adult series. 2000 I read years ago and I absolutely loved it way back when. And I thought, let me go through this series and read it because this is a very popular book series that is somewhat not known at the time. I feel like they didn't sell that much, which is why one of the final books ended up getting canceled, because the 1998 movie was coming out and they were releasing a slew of Godzilla books, and they filled the shelves, and bookstores were like, I have all these Godzilla books, which were for the 98. They had all these different like trivia books, novelizations of the 98 movie, kids books, tons of books for the 98 movie. And they're like, our shelves are filled with Godzilla books right now. You're going to give us another one? So it kind of scrapped that. The license ran out on it as well. So we got these four, and then we got the four for the Young Adult series. But today we're going to be focusing on King of the Monsters, the first entry in the entire series. What I really like about this book is throughout the book we get a few sections, chapters, where we get to see Godzilla's point of view from this, and we almost get his thoughts, which is really cool. We never really seen that or got to hear what the monster is thinking before, and that's how the book starts off. It starts off, you have Godzilla as a Godzillasaurus, who survived the Ice Age, the asteroid strike, all by hibernating undersea. And every few hundred years or so, the Godzillasaurus surfaces, swims to an island, and hopes to find fellow Godzillasaurus to play with, live with, and he just wants to find his family again. And as he's swimming towards the surface, he sees a flash of light, and his body begins to just burn and just hurt, so much pain, and he starts to mutate into Godzilla. He's now no longer the Godzillasaurus. He is now Godzilla. It was a bomb test that the military was doing right near the island that he always checks out every few hundred years in hope to find a fellow Godzillasaurus. And he surfaces, and he kind of realizes now that he's mutated, and even if he did manage to find another Godzillasaurus, he would kind of be shunned as an outcast now because of his mutations from the bomb. So now Godzilla's furious because he's gone hundreds of thousands of years living in loneliness, and now he realizes he's going to be alone forever because he'd be shunned by his fellow Godzillasauruses. So he sees off in the distance a ship, and he figures this ship is what did this to me. So he goes after the ship, and it wasn't that ship. So he takes the ship out, and he destroys the ship so quick. And he's like, there's no way this little thing would have been able to hurt me like this and put me in this terrible situation. Something so weak wouldn't have been able to do this to me. So he begins to set out on his path of destruction in hope of revenge on whatever did this to him. So he spends the next few weeks at sea just taking out Navy ships, all different boats that he comes across. Any boat that he comes across, he destroys, and in hope of finding his enemy, whoever did this to him. the one that did him wrong. So from here on out, we cut back to our three main characters. Well, not back, but they're introduced. Shiro, Lily, and Yukio. They're three siblings that live on this small, like kind of remote fishing island. It's a very non-modernized island. I mean, they're just a fishing village. Everybody helps each other out there. It's a very self-contained island. They don't deal with the mainland of Japan a lot. Everything that they eat, have, comes from that island. A lot of these people have never seen, like, electronics and stuff. It's a very, I don't want to call it primitive, but a simple, super simple island. And one of the island elders has a vision. He's known for having these visions that are always really accurate. And there's a heavy, heavy storm coming to the island, but he has a vision that the village is just going to be destroyed that night. So instead of everybody taking shelter in the village, they all begin to head to a religious retreat that they have on the island. And they all are heading up this mountain, and it's thundering, lightning, and all of a sudden they see Godzilla rise out of the ocean and destroy the village during this storm. And the next day the military shows up because the path of destruction from the boats eventually led to this island. And then from here on out, the three kids, they kind of retell their story to the general. He brings them back to the mainland, and the story continues there. They get brought into the old meeting room with the military world leaders, and they tell their story of the monster, and everybody kind of scoffs at them. They're like, oh, you're telling us a dinosaur has been doing this? What is this? And in that meeting room, there's a little girl. It's one of the doctor's daughters. She's a reporter on the rise. She's not really well known yet, so she wants to kind of like make her a big story. So she kind of sneaks the three kids out of the room, talks to the older one, and it's like, listen, I want you to tell your story, Yukio. I want you to tell your story to everyone on TV. And Yukio is only 16. She's young as well. Akina is her name, and she's young as well. She's about his age, so he kind of has like a little crush on her, and he decides, I'm going to tell the world my story. So he goes on, starts telling the story, starts broadcasting on TV. The world leaders are not happy about this. The general cuts in, and they're like, well, what do you have to say on it about this? And the general's like, all right, yeah, I kind of believe the story, not others do. So it kind of creates a little bit of panic on the mainland in Japan. And Godzilla does appear. He attacks a city, and the kids come up with a way to kind of distract him to get him to leave. I'm not going to go crazy in depth on this because I'm already going a little far in. But basically, let's skip ahead a little. They end up coming up with a plan, the military, where they want to take Godzilla out by tricking him, luring him away from the mainland, which he's already headed out, retreated back to sea. But they're trying to lure him further out to sea. And the plan is to use this experimental weapon on him. So they lure him out to the middle of the sea to a barge where they have a movie screen that's playing just almost a dinosaur movie. And Godzilla gets really excited because he's like, oh man, these could be fellow Godzillosauruses. I mean, I'm shunned, but maybe they'll take me in. So he goes and he discovers it's just a screen. He gets pissed. He destroys the screen. In the process, he destroys one of the submarines carrying the weapons. And the kids, along with the general and the doctor, Akina, they all end up back on the fishing island. And when they return back, they see that the villagers have made this giant 8-headed dragon statue out of all the rubble from the destroyed houses and everything, and they're about to have a festival to celebrate it. They're going to light this thing up, and they're all kind of just chilling on the island. Night comes, they light the thing, and they have this big party. It's on fire. Godzilla sees it from off in the distance, heads in, And the general is there with them saying, oh, we should all retreat. And the village head who prophesied Godzilla's original attack said, no. He won't do anything. If we just welcome him, he'll be cool. And Godzilla is actually really excited. He loves looking at the dragon statue. He sees it burning. And we get a look into Godzilla's mind at this point, and it just kind of reminds him of playing with his friends when they were around during the prehistoric times. And he knows in his head that the statue's eventually going to burn out. And he doesn't want to see that happen. He wants to remember this as another good memory. And he leaves. But while he's there, he kind of just stands there watching, listening to the drums. He's almost dancing and almost clapping. He shoots his fire breath into the sky like fireworks to celebrate along with the villagers. They cheer him on. And he does nothing. He does not attack. And the general and the doctor are like, listen, he really is just an animal that wants to live in peace. And we did him wrong. And the general and doctor are like, listen, I made the weapon, you run the attack, we're going to say the sub and the weapon were lost at sea and we have no way of attacking Godzilla. They don't even know what the weapon's effects on Godzilla will be. They say it could possibly make him even stronger instead of killing him. And it kind of ends there. We get a little epilogue with Akina, the reporter, and Yukio. Akina kind of asks Yukio to come back to the mainland, and Yukio is like, I didn't like who I was becoming there. He got to see all this modern technology and a completely different way of living. He became like a very negative person, and he strayed away from like his village ways. And that's how it ends. He says he's going to live on there, and I do not know if they return in any of these. This is the second book in the series, Godzilla Invades America. Then we have Journey to Monster Island and the Space Monster. I heard Godzilla Invades America is a very cool one. It's got like a scorpion kaiju that never appeared on screen, and I believe it's got Kamacuras and Kumonga, Monster Island and Gears, and Rodan, as you can see, and Space Monster is, of course, always the end-all, end-game King Ghidorah. Really cool book. I really love when they give us the Godzilla perspectives in the book. It's so, like I said, this is a junior's book. It's only, I believe, it's 11 chapters and an epilogue. I think there might have been a prologue too. Is there even any? I don't think there's really. I know some of these have little art inside. I'm trying to see. I do not believe this one does. No, this one doesn't. But if you could find it, pick it up. It's a good read, a quick read. I read this over like 2 lunch breaks. I was taking some notes during it, so it took me a little longer, and I'm a slow reader. But it's a quick, easy, fun read. Definitely a story worth checking out. Scott Ciencin has done some great books. He's done some Jurassic Park books, a bunch of the Dinotopia. I'm not sure if you guys remember the Dinoverse books. He did those. He's done some comic books for Silent Hill. He unfortunately passed away a few years back, but tons of his work is still out there, and it's absolutely worth checking out. Thanks for watching, guys. Godzilla King of the Monsters by Scott Ciencin, 1996. Check it out if you could find it on eBay or any book reseller. It could get a little pricey. You could find bundles of these. I think you could get this book $15 plus shipping sometimes if you're lucky, depending on the condition. It could go up as high as $100, but I would not recommend paying that. I mean, I got a beat up copy. You can read it fine. If you really want to collect it, then you might consider paying crazy out of pocket, but I wouldn't. Once again, thanks for watching the Amazing Squad, and stay tuned for more book reviews.